Which of the following statements are true concerning affidavits and the administration of oaths under New York State notary law? 1. Unlike an acknowledgement, an affidavit requires that the affiant personally appear before the notary and be administered an oath. 2. A corporation may take an oath for the purpose of making an affidavit if a duly authorized representative signs on its behalf. 3. The willful making of a false affidavit constitutes perjury under penal law, section 210. 4. The personal appearance of the affiant before the notary is not required if the notary already knows the affiant's signature. Well, let's have a look at each of these statements as they correspond to the relevant law to help us to determine the solution. So once again, statement 1. Unlike an acknowledgement, an affidavit requires that the affiant personally appear before the notary and be administered an oath. Well, let's have a look at the definition of acknowledgement found in the Notary Public License Law booklet. And if we jump to the last sentence in this excerpt, it states, "It is not essential that the person who executed the instrument sign his name in the presence of the notary." Conversely, if we look at the definition of affidavit, if we go a few lines down, it states, "But it is of far more importance that the affiant, the person making the affidavit, should have personally appeared before the notary and have made oath to the statements contained in the affidavit as required by law." So looking back at statement 1, indeed, this is a true statement because only in the case of an affidavit does it require the personal appearance before the affiant and dealing with administration of an oath, and therefore we can put a check mark next to 1. Statement 2. A corporation may take an oath for the purpose of making an affidavit if a duly authorized representative signs on its behalf. Well, let's have a look at the definition of oath found in the Notary Public License Law booklet. And if we go down towards the bottom, I know it's small, but I will be reading it. It states, "A corporation or a partnership cannot take an oath. An oath must be taken by an individual." So therefore, statement 2, in which it states that a corporation may take an oath, is not a truthful statement, and we can put an X next to it. Statement 3. The willful making of a false affidavit constitutes perjury under Penal Law Section 210. Well, if we look back to the definition of affidavit found in the Notary Public License Law booklet that I read from before, in the very next line it states, under Penal Law Section 210, the willful making of a false affidavit is perjury, etc. So indeed, statement 3 is a truthful statement, and we can put a check mark next to it. And finally, statement 4, the personal appearance of the affiant before the notary is not required if the notary already knows the affiant's signature. This is an untrue statement, as I read from in the definition of affidavit before. Personal appearance is required regardless, and therefore we can put an X next to statement 4. And with all this in mind, let's have a look at the 4 choices to determine the solution. Again, we're looking for which of the above 4 statements is a truthful statement. We've marked 1 and 3 as being truthful, 2 and 4 as not being true. Choice A states 1 only. This is incorrect because 3 is also a truthful statement, and therefore choice A is not our solution. Choice B states 1 and 3 only. This is the correct solution, as I explained above, having check marks next to 1 and 3. But to be in the habit of looking at all 4 choices, let's have a look at choices C and D. Choice C states 3 only. Well, this is incorrect because 1 is also a true statement. Therefore, choice C is not our solution. And finally, choice D states 2 and 4 only. Well, this is certainly not the correct solution because 2 and 4 are actually not true statements, and we can put an X next to choice D, which indeed leaves choice B, 1 and 3 only, as the correct solution.